I felt this whole weight just come down on me. If you really look at it, I wasn't there. My body was physically there, but you know, I just wanted to leave so badly because I felt like I was just going to faint right there in front of all of the reporters and the cameras. It was too much. It was too much, and at that point, you know, it's like, I'm human, and sometimes it's not appropriate, you know, to tape or to get a statement, you know. People think that I'm always so strong and I can do it all. You know, I'm not always so strong, and I am human, and that was a real big human part of me right there where I just couldn't do it. It was too much. It took a toll on my body, physically and emotionally.
Though it will be very difficult for this family, they are very happy that the DA will retry this case so that whomever is responsible for this tragic and criminal killing of Gwen will be held accountable.
I accidentally walked in front of the TV when the news was on, and I saw Gwen's picture, and I broke down. I started crying really, really hard because here I was standing in front of the television and saw a really beautiful girl whose life's being taken away. That was the first moment when I realized that I couldn't just live my life without being more visible and without really do something about it. With trying to think of what we could do during the Pride weekend to create more visibility for the community for being transgender. And initially the idea was to just build an altar on Pride weekend for people to come and see. And then as the discussion developed, we decided that it's time. It's time to really have a rally. It's time to really show more visibility as a community. And we start planning the march.
Sure, I had close friends in the march. I think it's all a good thing. You know, like, law evolves, and usually law evolves way slower, almost retarded, because we got to rely on precedent, much slower than sociological factors or psychological factors or evolutionary factors. So we're always in the dark ages compared to the cutting edge of evolution. So it's very important to bring law into, I don't know what you want to call it, contemporary motifs. So when you have a case that's symbolic, when the media, you know, pays attention to it, when there's parades and outcry and outbursts, I mean, something's wrong. That's the way things are reformed. That's a good thing. First Amendment is a good thing. So I'm completely for, you know, Gwen's mother parading and all, you know, all of the politicizing and all of the media attention, because the basic heart of this case for the other two defendants, not my case, is untenable in any kind of evolved, sophisticated, you know, compassionate, understanding culture.
After all of that happened, the community came to Christina to ask her if she would be a spokesperson for the Bay Area as a transgendered Latina youth, the way that Gwen Araujo was. And Christina stepped up to the plate, you know. She went right in front of the news cameras and the press and everybody and, you know, told them the way she felt.
A 17-year-old Newark teen was buried today the way that he lived, as a female. Police say that Eddie Araujo A transgender was killed by partygoers who found out that Araujo was biologically male.
He was murdered at a party earlier this month by 3 men in a fit of homophobic
More than
rage.
700 people came to Eddie Araujo's funeral at St. Edward's Catholic Church in Newark this afternoon. They came to say goodbye to the 17-year-old boy who also went by the name Gwen.
Both Elaine and Christina are horrified about the brutal murder of 17-year-old Eddie Araujo, who identified as a girl and went by the name of Gwen. They feel they can relate in ways many people cannot.
I try to place myself again in her position. I keep picturing the blows she was receiving, the blood she was spilling.
20-year-old Christina Sands has a very similar background to young Araujo. Both young minorities, both biologically male, and both feeling like women trapped inside men's bodies.
I just wonder, why do we have to feel like we're alienated? I mean, I'm human too, and I do bleed red blood just like everyone else.
Because I didn't hear it through television. What I heard it through was a friend.
When I heard of Gwen's death, I asked myself a question. Some questions. How much more pain? How many more tears? How many more families like Gwen's?
I would also like to challenge the media. If you say that you are a journalist, why don't you fucking do some research? I don't feel ashamed about myself. I feel good about myself. I'm a wonderful human being. It's a tough life being transsexual. Transgender probably is, because we know what it's like to have jobs taken away, and to lose all our stuff, and to just try and keep a good attitude with all that. I think you have to be a pretty amazing person.
I decided to really step up and just take care of business.
My name is Michelle Garcia. Here's a song that I wrote, and I changed the words a little bit because Gwen's death and the movement of coming together here in the city for things like this tend to really move us all in our own spirit. And this one's dedicated to Gwen and everybody here, or anyone who knows a transgendered person and has lived with that within their family. It's called Got a Reason to Live. Don't cross that line, he said, or you'll end up crying or dead. But there's just so much one can take when your whole life's at stake. With your back to the wall, you already know that this time you'll go. Just say goodbye
Amended is before us. Kindly present on your bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This bill addresses the use of the so-called panic strategy by criminal defendants in murder cases and ensures that this strategy is not effective in justifying brutal crimes based on a victim's sexual orientation, gender, or other protected status.
Meeting of the New York City Council will come to order.
Action to feel, oh my God, what the hell am I going to do? I got to, your job is to always protect your kids. So in a way, I know you're being a protective and loving dad.
it comes to the trials.
This time was different. And she always checked in. Always.
If I did not mention the way that our police services responded to this tragedy and brought Eddie back home.
And being truthful with all of this, she was Gwen from birth, but I didn't know that. And I only wish that I would have called her Gwen more often in her lifetime. But I'm not perfect, and I'm human, and I made a mistake. She deserved to have been Gwen from the moment she started her transition. But I didn't do that, and I've learned something. And I hope that other parents of transgender children will also be more understanding, more accepting, get more educated about their children, because there's many, many transgendered people out there. I look at it now as, I used to look at her, out of my 4 children, as she was different. She was special. She had more struggles. And now I look at it as she was my gift from God.